Okay, hi guys. This is a tutorial for a buddy of mine. We were talking on Facebook Messenger, and he wants to know how to combine a couple BA together. So I'm going to show him how to do it, or at least how it should be done. So here I have 2mm tube, 1.5mm tube, if you can see that. Okay. So 2mm, 1.5mm, and 1mm tube. I hope you can see the differences. Come on, focus. Okay, there you go. See, so you see the three sizes of tube. We have our BA here. Okay. So one of them is a DTEC, and the other is a Knowles CI. Okay, hope you can see that. Can you see that? Alright. The spouts are kind of far apart. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the two together. That's oops. That's the right way to start. Alright, so I have my syringe here. Syringe has my resin inside it, and what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of resin, spread it along the top BA. If you can see that or not. Let's see if you can see that. Come on. Okay. See, there's a little bit of resin on top of that BA. Alright. I'm going to take my DTEC. I'm going to line up the nozzles so they're on the same side. Just going to drop it on top. Okay. And I'm going to line them up. Pressure on them. Okay, good enough. I'm going to take my UV light, shine a little bit of UV on them. Actually, you know what? I have a better light here. Alright, so now my BA are attached. You see that? They are physically attached to one another. Okay, so that's the best way to start, is just to attach your BA to one another, because you do not want them to move around when you go to do this. Now, ideally, you want an IEM tube stretcher. It's called a BTE. IEM BTE tube stretcher, but what I use is a pair of tweezers. Okay, ESD safe tweezers. Take your tube. I have 2mm tube here, and you're going to also need a razor knife. Okay, here's your razor knife. And what I want to do is I want to get the tube to fit across both nozzles, and you can actually see that the gap of the tube will fit in between the nozzles. Okay, I needed to fit over both of them, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tweezers, stick the tube on. This is 2mm tube. And then I have a heat gun here. I'm going to apply heat to the tweezers. Heat is applied. Now I'm just going to slide the tube up over it, and I'm actually going to take another piece of tweezers and I'm just going to stick them inside. And what this is doing is this is going to stretch out the tube. Okay. Now the tube needs to cool down as it's stretching. I have a fan sitting right here next to me, so I'll just let the tube kind of cool down a little bit. Alright. You guys see that okay? Yeah, you can see that pretty good. Alright. So, I'm going to release the tweezers, and now I have a stretched tube. Now this tube is probably too big to fit over the nozzles. Okay, you can see there's a little bit of looseness, a little bit of play. So I'm going to cut it down. This is where my razor knife comes in. I'm just going to cut enough off of it until I get to the point where it fits snug over the two tubes. Okay, a little bit further, it's still loose. Let's take off a little bit more. Alright, a little bit more is taken off. Try to cut it as flat as possible. I'm just doing this in a hurry, so I'm not really concerned about how it fits. Alright, getting a little better. I don't know if you guys can see that. But it's getting a little tighter. Okay. So cut off a little bit more. So there's a little bit more. This should be perfect right here. Yeah, there we go. So once it's tight enough to kind of hold them a little bit, that's where you know that it's good. Okay? So what we're going to need to do now is attach the tubes to the BA using resin. The only problem is there's a little gap. You can't really see it, but there's a little gap in between the BA. So like I can pass a needle through it. Okay? You don't want to get a bunch of resin in there because then it's going to run down the length of the tube and it's going to influence the sound. So what you'll want to do is just put a little dab on the top of the tube. We're going to cure it. And then we'll put a little dab on the other side. Sorry, the problem with using a syringe is bubbles come out. Try and pop the bubbles as they come out. Alright, Now I'm going to put a little bit of resin in between. The thing is I got to do this real quick because I don't want it all to get inside the BA. I'm also going to use gravity to keep it from falling in between the two BA. Okay. And then I'm going to do the other side. Alright, and that is how you stretch a tube over 2BA. Now another thing you could do, which I'll show you this other example. First I'm going to cut off a little bit of length so you can see our BA they're fully attached. Like they're not going anywhere. I'll actually let you get a good look at this so you can see. You can see they're fully attached. Okay, so that's how, at least how I do it. Got my 2BA together, and then I have, see there's a little bit of resin in between them, but those are sealed up. Second thing, this is the second way to do it. Take your 1mm tube, try to remove this without damaging these. Okay, so this is the other way to do it. Let me just reattach my BAs. So you need to make sure that you attach your BAs together first. Okay, this is the first thing to do. Alright, so attach them together. Cure them with some UV light. Sorry, that's my bird screaming. Alright, so now you have your 2BA attached together again. You're going to take 1mm tube, okay? You're going to cut off a couple pieces, no more than probably about 5mm in length. Granted, this is something I've never done before. I've never needed to do this, but this is a technique. So you take a couple small lengths. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. They're not very long, just a couple millimeters. Okay, and you're going to place one over each of the nozzles. Okay? You guys see that? See that alright? Come on. Okay? See that? Alright. Then you're going to take a little bit of glue or resin and just put it around the base of the BA and the tube. Try to get it around all sides. You don't have to go crazy with it, but just make sure that you get a little layer of it around all the sides. Alright, so easy done. Alright, so now we have our two tubes. Okay, we have our BA. We're going to take our 2mm tube. Like I said, this is just a specific instance for a friend of mine who is just getting into this. So we're going to use our tweezers again because I need to stretch it out to accompany the two tubes. So I'm going to use my heat gun and heat up the tweezers. Okay, tweezers are warm, and I'm just going to push it up a little bit. And I'm just going to stretch it out just a little bit. And then I'm going to slide it over the two tubes. Take a little bit of glue, resin, and fill in the space. Hit it with some UV. Okay. I'm going to cut off my length. Alright, so can you guys see that? Stupid camera. Come on, fucker. Focus. There you go. You see? So the two tubes combine into one tube. And then there's a little bit of glue in the middle just to seal up the space in between. So that is the other way you can do it. And see if we can break this off. Okay, I'm trying to do this without damaging my BA. There we go. Alright. So as you guys can see, Start off with your 2BA. Make sure you attach them together. Where'd it go? Do I still have it? Yes, I do. Okay. So the two ways you can do it is you take your BA. Come on. Okay, you got your BA. Take your tube, your one tube, and you can stretch it over both spouts. Okay? Come on, you fucker. Anyway, stupid camera. And then the other way you can do it is to take two individual 1mm tubes and glue them to the BA, and then you stick them into the one tube. And that's how you can do it in a 2mm tube. I don't really recommend combining these two BA just because of the way that the spouts meet. They're not very good. I guess you could kind of combine them like this, like in a row, like straight, and the distance between the nozzles might be a little bit shorter. Check. Yeah, so it's a good little chunk shorter, but it's also going to be harder to mount. It's going to be harder to mount the BA like that. You can stack them if you want. Let me actually try to do this. This is probably not going to go very well. I just want to try it. Yeah, it's not too bad. Alright, anyway, so you could stack them flat like that, but the only problem is good luck getting them into a shell. See, the problem you're going to have is fitting them into any shell. So I don't recommend doing them like that. It's better just to do them the other way. But again, like I said, I don't really recommend using this combination of BA. What I do recommend is doing like 2 CI series, because they come out with just a tiny spout in the middle, and you can just slip a 2mm tube straight over them. Then again, I don't even really recommend you use a 2mm tube. This is just, like I said, this is just for a buddy of mine. This is just kind of like some tips to help him out a little bit, so he can kind of get an idea of how it's done. But yeah, for example, like I buy these are E-Audio 30029, and essentially what they are is they're dual CI 22955, like, or 30120s. That's basically what they are. They're just dual base BA, but with a single spout in the middle. And done. That's it. That's all you gotta do to attach it. You know, just do that, boop, put a little glue around it. That's much easier than dealing with these. Now, if you were to combine 2 of the CIs, these are older, these are 30120s. It's gonna be the same thing as fitting the 2 different ones together. Just because these are older style with the nozzle on the side, or the spout to the side. The newer ones, the 22955s, are a little bit different. So the 22955s are a little different, as the spout is in the middle. So basically you can just glue two of them together and you have one spout in the center, and you can just stretch it. Come on. Okay. Might be a little bit harder to stretch. Still a little hard to stretch, but it's definitely much more doable. Also not cut very good, but yeah, so you can stretch it over two of these rather easily. So this is much easier to deal with than combining a D-Tech series with a CI series. If you were to do two of the D-Tech series together, it's the same thing. It's just an older design. The spout's off to the side. This is not a very good design. One of these is actually Sony, but yeah, the spout's off center, so the only way you could do it is put them next to each other, and still the nozzles are at least 3.5 millimeters apart. So it's just no good. It's not fun to deal with. But like the newer series. These are 3800 AJs, but yeah, they're like so close to each other you can easily slip a tube over those. And then same thing with the where are they at? There they are. So I have two different ones. These are dual ED 29689s. Same thing. Spouts are really close together. You can easily fit a 2 millimeter tube over top. But even better is the DEC 29689-000001. This is another e-audio BA, and it's literally one nozzle right in the middle. You can take 1 millimeter tube. Okay, and just slap it right on there. What I do is I take 1 millimeter tube and I cut like a 1.5 2 millimeter cross section. Okay, and then I take it and I slip it over the BA. Okay, like this. Come on, you fucker. Okay, see that? So it's a 1 millimeter tube, just slid over the single nozzle. Alright. Got my 1.5 millimeter tube here. I don't like to use 2 millimeter because it's just a pain in the butt. You can't really fit as many BA. Oh, you're gonna give me problems, aren't you? You're not gonna be easy because I'm making a video. There we go. And then boom, I just slip my 1.5 millimeter tube over top, take a little bit of resin, doop 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 doop, and done. That's it. Super easy. But yeah, if you ever need to step up or step down in size, I highly recommend that you make sure you get all sizes of tubes. So I have a 1 millimeter ID, 1.5 millimeter ID, 2 millimeter ID. I even have a 2.5 millimeter ID that I never use. But basically the point is, it makes a good mechanical connection whenever you're combining tubes together. Okay, so you see, I got a 1.5 on this end and a 1.0 on this end. It makes an excellent mechanical connection. So, in conjunction with the glue, it's impossible to get apart. So, that's the way that you attach BA. So if you want to make it easy on yourself, you can do what I do, and you can buy BA like this that have a single spout, or go for models that don't have the spout on the side. The thing is, they are a little cheaper, so they're a little easier to get a hold of because they're not as expensive, but you also have models like this, which is the sorry, can't read the model because it's so tiny. .31587. So yeah, so then you can also get BA like this, which are 31587. These are like kind of comparable to the ED 29689. They're pretty decent. They're not bad, but yeah, these are a little bit easier to work with. But yeah, that's it. You know what, now that I actually think of it, so I'll have to look at the pictures that you sent me, but I'm pretty sure that the BA that you had, the nozzle was off to the side. Even if the nozzle's not, and it's in the center like this, when you're combining it with the DTEC or DTEC, which is kind of like this, you're still going to have a little bit of gap in between the two. But yeah, so basically, just to recap, it doesn't matter what model of BA you use. If you're trying to fit a tube onto a BA, you're going to need some kind of glue or resin. I use UV activated resin just because it's much easier to work with. It's much faster. You don't have to wait for it to dry. Make sure you have all three sizes of tubes because you don't want to get stuck with some awkward compromise because you don't have the right diameter of tube. And then the little trick I use, like I said, is take a pair of tweezers, take the tube. If you heat up the tweezers, you can use a lighter or something like that, where you just heat it up, slide the tube over it, use something else, prying action, to open it up even more if you need to expand it more. And you can take anything from a 2 diameter tube and size it up to like 7 or 8. The only problem is when using one of these, you end up with this much length of tube because it's tapered. So that's the only problem with using a pair of pliers like this. Any other hints or tips? No, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's one of the difficulties of getting around when you're making IEMs. One last thing, really quick, is applying dampeners. Actually, I have one sitting right here. 2 sitting right there. So, dampeners, they should be anywhere from 50 to 75% the length of the tube. So if this is the end of the nozzle and this is the BA, you want it anywhere from 50 to 75%. The amount dictates its efficiency or how much it dampens. It's not really a big deal. It's not that noticeable. You'd have to do some real listening sessions. The type of dampener is more important than the length of it. But yeah, so basically, if you're sticking a dampener in a 2mm tube, you want to, so you have 2 faces. You have one where the screen is right up top, and then you have another face that is hollow. Okay, so there's not a screen on that side, it's just recessed down. Whenever you're applying a dampener, you want to stick it face into the tube, and then you want that end of your tube to go into the BA. So this is a little dampener installation tool. I use the back of it, I don't use the front because the front can slip and push the screen out. But anyway, just take something that is the size of the dampener. It's like 1.5 or 1.8 millimeters, and just shove it down the tube. Okay, you guys see that? Alright, so there's the tool. It's just literally like a extraction bit, and just push it down in the tube. If you need to remove the dampener from the tube, then you take the little extraction part, give it a couple rotations. Sorry, this one's kind of worn out. Actually, it's really worn out. I need to get another one. But yeah, just twist it into the dampener. Give it like one turn. Don't give it any more because you'll destroy the material inside. And you can pull it out. And then to get it off, just reverse the threads, and then you can get the dampener back out. So that's how you insert and remove a dampener. Now when you're putting a dampener inside of a 1.5 millimeter tube, it'll fit, but it's much more difficult. It's much tighter. You can't really do it by hand. So one thing I do is I take the rear side. It's like a diamond side. Okay, you see that? It's like diamond tip or whatever. And I just put the dampener over it. Come on. Oh, come on, you fucker. Yeah, just put it on the tip like that, and I kind of hold it with my finger. And then I take it, and I just gently work it into the tube. Okay. Come on. Alright, you see that? Just worked it over the tube. And then if you need to get it... Oh, you piece of crap phone. Come on. Focus. Focus on my hand. Yeah, there you go. And then if you need to get it further in, just give it a good push. It'll take a lot of force. And the further you get, the harder it gets. Plus it also likes to, oh, come on, get a little cockeyed. That's alright, but just slowly work the dampener into the tube, and it'll be alright. So basically there's a dampener inside of a 1.5 millimeter tube. You cannot fit a dampener in a 1 millimeter tube without stretching the tube. So you can see here, so this is a tube that I removed off of a DD, dynamic driver, but you can see the dampener. You see how the tube's kind of like the shape of a funnel? That's because I used one of these, and this is the end that goes in the dynamic driver, and then I just kind of pushed the dampener in as far as I could to get it in its location. And no, that doesn't fit. But yeah, but now I use a different type of cap. So this is a cap that I make, and I do it a whole different way. I take a 1.5 millimeter tube. Actually, I'll just show you guys this real quick because I might as well while I'm already doing this. But so now what I do is I take a 1 millimeter tube. Come on, you piece of shit. Alright, so I take a 1 millimeter tube, I stick it inside the 1.5 millimeter tube, and then I just cut off the end of the 1.5 millimeter tube. Okay, come on, like that. Okay, so it looks like that. And then this accepts the 1.5 millimeter tube just barely. Okay, come on. Okay, just like that. The dampener stops it from going all the way in, and then I just put glue around the dampener and the DD, and it ends up looking like this. This is the finished result. Okay, so there you go. That's the finished result. And there's a different one. Okay. Come on. Focus, you fuck. Yeah. Alright. So anyway, guys, take care. Hope you enjoy the video. Sorry, I'm not very good at explaining things, but at least I try.